the graphic nature of its content, listener discretion is advised.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight.
On this episode of Cigars and Sea Stories, the Cigars and Sea Stories team sits down to discuss New Year's. And Happy New Year's to all of our listeners who are out there. If you haven't already done so, go ahead, click subscribe. If you're probably listening on iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, one of those, click subscribe, rate us, give us a review. We're trying to get up there on New and Noteworthy, by the way, on iTunes. For all of our Apple listeners out there, thank you very much. And on this New Year's special, notice we're not going to do the Dick Clark thing, no ball drop. It's not a live thing. Plus, I'm pretty sure that this is airing before, New Year's Eve. But we wanted to put a wrap up, a bow, so to speak. A Merry Christmas pun there on our 2015 and kind of usher in 2016. We're gonna discuss a few different sea stories that we had discussed. What the fuck am I saying? We're gonna bullshit about times when we were overseas on New Year's, and also we're gonna be talking about a few of the upcoming, New Year's 2016 events that we've got, and a few of the things that we've got in the works coming up here. So, hey fellas, what's going on? How's life treating you?
Life's freaking fantastic, man. It's good to be
We're
on with
almost
you guys
at the
again.
new year.
We
right
are.
here.
It's getting close.
Oh.
It's hard to believe the year has gone by so quickly.
Counter-Strike. Sorry, I'm finishing my Counter-Strike coffee. All right, I won't be as wired. I won't be as wired this time. You know what I mean?
Just so y'all know, it's 19:20 in the evening, and he's still drinking his Counter-Strike coffee, which means he won't sleep. He's not gonna sleep tonight.
Well, it's time for Smooth Operator, because napalm before, Smooth Operator now, being able to ease into it. Counter-Strike coffee, coupon code Cigars and Sea, 10% off. I like Smooth Operator in the evening with like sweets and stuff because I have a sweet tooth and I'm a fat kid at heart. So, not a big deal.
I'm a fat kid in reality. And I really like Smooth Operator, so.
It is good.
So,
Happy New Year's, motherfuckers.
Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's, Doc.
So my Christmas story that I told y'all earlier, where we were on our way to Desert Storm and we stopped in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Well, so that story progresses into New Year's because we didn't leave the Philippines until I think it was the day after or 2 days after. It was like the 1st or the 2nd of January when we left. I don't remember exactly. There's a whole lot of stuff I don't really remember exactly about that time because, number one, I was young and single and it was the Philippines. And it was a freaking party, straight up. So picture.
Straight up. So
none of you guys been to PI, right?
No.
Have you?
No.
I have not.
What a freaking shame. Okay, so Subic Bay. If you go to the Philippines, Subic Bay, one of the greatest liberty ports ever in the history of the United States military, right? And there's this little town called Olongapo. Well, it's not a little town; it's a big town called Olongapo, right outside the gate of Subic. And anything that you want to do, you can do. So I'm just going to leave it there. But there's bars everywhere.
What's his name?
And we're out there, wall-to-wall people, just freaking cram-packed full of people. And the biggest thing I remember about New Year's specifically was at midnight, they didn't wait till midnight. They started early. But people were shooting like Roman candles and bottle rockets at other people in the street. People were like lighting off M80s and chucking them at people in the street. So it's almost like a form of crowd control.
Here's some fire for you. Pow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have an explosion on me. Ba-boom. By the time midnight rolls around, I remember. So I was never a real big drinker back in those days. I mean, I was kind of always the DD, But I think I had a few, but some of my buddies were pretty well lit and needed some assistance for mobility, And so we're making our way down the street, bar hopping, going from one place to another. And I remember Sergeant Pribble and Sergeant Chandler and some of these freaking like legends of the sniper community from back in those days. They were both instructors at sniper school too, but they came from our platoon, and they actually shut down sniper school right before we left to deploy, and the whole division basically shut down all the division schools, and those guys came back to the platoon with us, and we all deployed together. But those guys were just freaking toasted. It was funny, people shooting bottle rockets at each other and getting whacked in the head with a Roman candle. It's like, oh, what was that? Too freaking drunk to.
I'll take a bottle rocket and a Roman candle. If somebody throws a quarter stick of dynamite at me, we're having more than words.
Yeah. Well, if you don't know what's going on, you just don't know what's going on. So, it kind of rolls off your back. But that was what it was like that night, and it just kind of was constant all night long. It was pretty cool. But then, we lost our corpsman, our platoon corpsman that was talking big smack the whole way, from the time we left San Diego all the way till we got to PI. We got back on ship and rolled out of there. And, hey, where's Doc? I don't think he's back. Yeah, he freaking went UA, dude. And missing movement. Ship's pulled out of port. He was still in PI.
Oh, shit.
Apparently, he purposely did that. It was not an accident. And he took off on the run, and they found him some months later shacked up with some little Filipina girl somewhere trying to hide out in the province or something. But, they charged him with desertion and all that. It's pretty funny. Because he was talking mad smack about how he was so looking forward to combat and all this kind of crap. And, it was pretty funny. And then we had a guy fall overboard going around the Horn of India.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hear those Indian dolphins are pretty amorous.
Oh, Jesus. Now with the dolphin.
There we go. Back to the dolphins.
I think these dolphins are asexual.
Wait, so, he fell off the ship. Did they grab his ass, or the next ship grabbed him, and then he did a line over, or whatever?
No. So I think, if memory serves me correctly, what happened was he got picked up by some civilian vessel somewhere along the way, or made it to shore somehow, but he was on mainland India. At some point.
Shut the front door. So wait a minute. Yeah. He fell off the ship, and they just were like,
nobody knew. It's like the middle of the night. He just
that's it.
Guess he jumped up.
You.
I don't know. Whatever. Yeah.
Holy
crazy
shit.
Stuff happens, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
dude, that's a sea story.
I could tell you more.
That guy.
I could tell you more detail about, like New Year's and stuff, but we'll have to wait until the microphone's off. So as not to incriminate the innocent.
Talk about balls dropping.
Or the guilty.
Balls dropping.
Hey.
He said balls.
Talking about balls dropping.
I remember I was on post one New Year's overseas, and I think I was on post with Rolling, and I just looked at my watch, and it was 12:02. I looked over. There was like a dog barking way off in the Ville, and the burn pit's going, and we're just kind of looking back towards Hurricane Point, and I'm like, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. And then we clanked canteen cups, and that was the extent of our New Year's celebration. A 240 golf in between us,
Jesus.
just full kit. You got an AT4 in the corner and a 240, and you're just like, fuck. Looking south out of ECP North, you're just like, God damn it. Yeah, it's funny. You find yourself, you got to live in that moment. You know what I'm saying? A lot of folks, I think, betray themselves while they're on post, or even in the middle of the shittiest situations or whatever. I kind of made it a point to be in that moment to whatever extent, not just because I knew that I had other people's six, but not everybody is going to spend New Year's that way. they're just not going to do it. You're not going to do it as a young man holding post, you know, in the middle of a combat zone. It's just not going to happen. It's really shitty at the time, but looking back on it, man, what a just like, you know, the nostalgia of it is fantastic. So
yeah, it's cool to be able to say you did, you know.
yeah, as shitty as it was, I think it was like within a week before or after New Year's, I almost fired the AT4 that was in there. And I'm pretty sure Rolling can attest to this. There was a section of Humvee that were coming out, and they had gone through a serpentine. And, you know, you have the IP trucks, which are just those technicals, the smaller IP trucks. And then they had like a sedan, pretty sure it was just a beige Opel, that was about 4 Humvee length behind the end technical, and it followed him through the serpentine. And I'm like, oh shit. And Rolling, you know, he's making Con 1 on the 240. I've got the AT4 out there and shit, because this was SOP. You know, he was going to light him up. You're going to blow that fucking car up. And I'm all cocked and shit like that. And bam, I'm like, it's going to fucking happen, man. You know how you got to roll with your fingers and then you press with your thumb on the AT4 and you're like, oh, that's going to happen. And I'm angled down. I'm like, yes, I'm going to blow a fucking car up with a rocket launcher. This is happening. And so, you know, and the 240 is not letting loose. You don't want an open bolt weapon to, you know, initiate the ambush or whatever. The IPs climb out and they're swinging their arms up. Stop! You know, well, Alta or whatever the fuck, you know, golf. And sure as shit, wound up the beige sedan swings through the serpentine. 2 IPs climb out of it. It was a confiscated vehicle. I was so pissed. I was like, God damn it. I would have blown that fucking car up with a rocket. But I couldn't. They just, yeah, I would have killed 2 IPs. That was as close as I got.
Damn trigger discipline.
God, I know, right? Oh, man. Ugh. That would have been bad, though, man. Joss, you know what I'm talking about. That ECG.
Put a downer.
That would have been so bad if I would have blown up some IPs with a rocket launcher. That would have been real bad.
Oh, they would have been pissed.
They would have been. They would have been fucking pissed. Yeah. But it didn't. That hurts. Hurts in my loins. Never got to blow anybody up, folks. I know. I
was in Afghanistan 2010-11 with 2nd Recon, and so we were there for, you know, Christmas and, well, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and no, actually we left right after Thanksgiving, and so we were there for Christmas and New Year's. But I didn't tell the Christmas story about this earlier because it wasn't really a story. We didn't do anything. I mean, there wasn't shit going on. I mean, it was just the deployment, you know. But the holiday was like, I don't even remember anything about it, to be honest with you. It was just
kind of breezed by.
Yeah, it just kind of went by, and it was the deployment, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, then leaving right after Thanksgiving and then going into Christmas, you're like hitting your op-tempo stride. Your head's on a swivel around that point. You're like, Christmas? Whatever. It's fucking Tuesday. What do we got going on here? Yeah.
Well, and there's so much crap going on. I mean, right about the time we got there, 3-5 had got there, you know, like less than a month before us. And, you know, they were singing, and they were getting their asses handed to them on a daily basis, you know, with IEDs and all this crap. They lost like 10 guys the first week on the ground. And
holy shit.
You know, so being co-located with these guys was a little bit sobering, you know, and that was my old battalion too, you know, from when I was a grunt. And so being with them, you know, and getting to spend time with them and seeing the shit they were going through all the time was pretty, yeah. I didn't like it. I mean, I'm sure they didn't like it either, but I would have liked to have been able to be more directly involved in doing something to help, you know, other than just being the you know, watch chief in the rock. But you know, it was what it was. But you know, good bunch of guys, and they were going through a pretty tough time, you know, right about then. But they did good, man. They did their mission, and they killed lots of freaking bad guys, and you know, eventually made it home. But yeah, I don't really remember a whole lot about that holiday, to be honest with you. I remember whenever we'd go back to Camp Leatherneck, because they'd rotate me in and out of Fob Jackson. I'd go back to Leatherneck for a while, go back to Fob Jackson for a while, and being at Leatherneck was just like, oh my God, what the hell are these people doing here? You know?
Yeah.
It's like nine.
It was fucking weird.
9 out of every 10 people you see is like, do you even have a function in this war? You know? I mean, I barely felt like I had a function in the war, you know? And I'm looking around at some of these people. I'm like, there's no way you have a function here. Why are you even here? You're just like sucking up, freaking hazard duty pay or something. And whatever. I don't know. It was crazy.
It was strange also because it was all of those, it was Connex boxes, and then kind of like the walkways were pallets, remember?
Yeah.
So it was strange the way that the roads were set up as far as like the raised roads and stuff like that. It was different than Kuwait and some of the other bases that were out there. It was just kind of strange. Yeah.
When we got ready to leave, they were paving the roads at Leatherneck.
Jesus.
Yes, they were paving roads, and they were building more of these freaking cans. Different types. I mean, there were probably like half a dozen different types of these canned communities, little apartment complexes, if you will.
Yeah.
Very
they had strange too, because when you go into them, it's almost like corridors.
Mm-hmm.
Like not maze work, but you can tell that there's almost like inner courtyards in some of them and stuff. It's different from what we experienced even on Camp Ramadi. It was interesting. I roamed around Leatherneck because, like any other base, there were huge amounts of open space, just like you would picture. But I needed to go because I was the guy who handled the money. So I handled Afghani, right, their currency over there when we were with the police advisor team. It's not like I was doling cash out. I had however many, whatever. But yeah, I used to have to like walk all over the place accountability wise, make sure that the money was up, go over, to different areas and stuff without going too in depth on the process. But it forced me to walk around Leatherneck, and it was very intriguing interacting with a few of the different people, like what you're talking about. You're like, what functionary purpose do you have? One lady I bumped into, she was head to toe in 511 gear. And she was like, "Hey, Sergeant Penny, what's up? I'm here." She was doing intel stuff, briefings, and we went into one of those cans. I walked into this room, and it was one of the most impressive rooms I've ever set foot in my entire life. The monitors, all of this other stuff. You look at it on the outside, it is a white Connex box, like any other. And then they've got like HIMARS sitting outside. It's just a very strange, unique environment to go from a Connex box that has a PX in it to a Connex box that has a living area in it to a Connex box that has a rock that would just, you're like, holy shit, dude. Did I just walk into the Pentagon or some shit? Like, this is nuts.
Oh, yeah. Well, Connex box conversion has become a huge industry now. It's kind of like... the bus conversions, like we want to take our road tour next summer to, in a bus conversion. There's freaking companies now that like they can take a freaking Connex box and turn it into like a palace on the inside. And you walk by on the outside and it looks like just a freaking Connex box that fell off a truck.
That's what, there you
it's
go. Crazy.
I mean, there's people living in them. You're working in them. You got freaking high-tech command centers in them. You got PXs in them. Whatever. It's crazy.
The PX in the Connex box. Yeah. That's how the PX got to Kajaki. That was like the one and only time when I was there, and this has long since been cleared, but that was the one and only time that we had a log train ever that would come was only the PX. And it happened, relatively frequently, I guess like 3 weeks to a month. Every 3 weeks to a month. Every once in a while there'd be a longer gap or what have you. But it was crazy seeing this Connex box, this semi-truck all armored out, rolling up. And bam, there's a PX inside. That poor bastard just got like a serialized cash register and all the money out. And he's also doubling
all the pogs, you mean?
Yeah, all the pog, but he's also got cash. What is that? Fuck, I can't remember. Help me out here. It's dispersing. He doubles as dispersing, but he's also a PX employee. He's just
Awesome.
the guy. You can picture him. He's chain smoking cigarettes near the entrance to the Conex box. He's just like, oh, you poor fuck.
Is it Marine or soldier?
Marine.
Yeah, so he's an exchange employee.
Yeah.
Basically.
But it's mandatory that they pick up the dispersing, or at least this guy, for him, it was mandatory he picked up the dispersing secondary.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so that he can do you know how it is. You go out there and you're like, yeah, man, let me get advanced pay or whatever the hell. Or you can pull out whatever's in your dispersing account thing, whatever. You remember your PX fund. That's what I always called it. Get a couple cartons of cigarettes, some Monster. You're like, yep, gonna need this. That's I gotta put that picture up online also. It's like the M4, the K-bar, Monsters, cigarettes, dip, porn, a day by calendar. There's I call it the deployment starter set. I'm gonna throw that up online. There you go. Funny. You're welcome, America.
So it's funny, New Year's is that time of year when everybody's, kind of reminiscing about the past and looking to the future and, wondering what the coming year is going to be like and all that crap. And I know everybody's probably got their own different take on it and stuff like that. But that year for us for me, I just kind of was like, I don't know. It didn't seem like there was any real reason to be too optimistic that the coming year was going to be any better than the past one,
Yeah. Well, and it sucks too, like, the one and only New Year's that I had overseas was in the middle of the deployment. We left, what was it? It was September, I believe, 7th is when we left. So it was, September, October, November. And then you had to say, So we got home at the end of March. So it was almost smack dab in the middle of the deployment. And you're like, yay! Fuck. God damn it. Like, come on. It's funny because that's how, on my last deployment in 2011, that's when 4th of July was. EOD did something, not to go on a 4th of July thing, but EOD, I got to recount that story later on also. They blew up a giant
you can't talk
ring
about
of
it
fire
now.
that was sick.
Holiday.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because with New Year's, I don't want to say, like, I remember there was celebratory fire out in the Ville in and around New Year's because they were on the same calendar as us. That was something that Ramadi, weren't the Iraqis out there? It was like New Year's, and then the Iraqis won over somebody else in the Olympic soccer or some shit like that. Those were the only two, like, celebratory times. Yeah. You had made the comment, though, like, did anybody honestly ever see the ball drop? We didn't see the fucking ball drop when we were overseas.
No.
Dick Clark on that.
No, I saw my balls drop, but
half the people at Leatherneck probably did. I'll bet you they were out there watching it at the freaking rec center or whatever they called that place.
The rec center. Kandahar had it better. They had that boardwalk. The
I heard about
Canadians
that.
came
I
out
never
and
been to
played
Kandahar.
hockey when I was there. I lost my shit, dude. I was laughing so hard. But it was a good hockey game, I'm telling you what. It was good stick and puck. They were moving it around. It was pretty sweet. And then I went over to TGI Fridays, ate a hamburger that fucking owned me. I ate like half a hamburger. I deployed overseas. It was like $2.20. Get home, I'm like $1.88. I've been eating Afghan food the whole time. It's like when Bennett's talking about Christmas, cooking his own food and stuff. That's how it was when we were in the Ville and singing and shit, cooking our own meals. Here I am, TGI Fridays, sitting next to these SF guys. They're laughing at us. We're like about ready to puke. We're trying to finish these fucking cheeseburgers. Good time.
I just remember my first New Year's overseas, and it was in Bosnia. I can't remember if we were back up on 722, Hill 722, or if we were doing QRF at Comanche Base or Eagle Base in Tuzla. But what I do remember is I remember bartering with this Bosnian civilian, and I gave him 2 MREs, and he gave me a 6-pack of this, it's like 16-ounce cans of Czechoslovakian Pilsner. And I remember drinking that whole 6-pack and being fucking drunk off my ass.
That sounds like a good trade.
We weren't eating them anyway because they were just kind of like in backup. We had chow halls, so it was kind of like one of those things. Like the dude was like, "You have MRE?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "I can either get you beer or plum brandy." And I was like, "I will accept beer. I don't want any of your homemade fucking brandy." But I don't remember where I drank it. But I remember it was on that the Y2K world's coming to a fucking end. I'm like, well, if the world's coming to an end, I'm getting drunk. I remember drinking about 3 or 4 near beers first because we had those in copious supply, right? So we had the non-alcoholic beer. So I drank like 3 of those first, and then I drank the whole 6-pack, and I was like drunk because I hadn't had a drop of alcohol in, I don't know, 4 months, 5 months. I remember that. And then the New Year's in Egypt, I remember we had come off of remote site on Saturday, which was the 30th of December. And so we were out there for a little while. We did the whole Christmas thing, we came off site early, but we were back at South Camp for New Year's. And I spent, because it was a Monday night at this bar, the British bar on South Camp called Wild Geese. Do you guys remember that movie? Did you guys ever see that movie?
I remember the name.
Yeah, if you've never seen it, you should watch it. It's a British Army movie called Wild Geese. Well, on Monday nights, and this was every Monday night, they had $1 pints of Guinness. $1, dude.
God bless you.
$1 pints of Guinness and 50-cent shots of Jameson. So we rolled like Irish car bombs all night, and I pretty much remember it wasn't even midnight yet, and I was like already crawling through the sand to get back to the barracks.
Oh.
Because we were so fucked up already. You know, it was a lot of fun, but we threw some darts and drank with some of the New Zealand Army guys, the Kiwis, and
those guys are cool.
Oh yeah, dude, it was that bar was a blast. So that was our bar. We didn't really hang out at the other bars too much, but we hung out there quite a bit. Me and my buddies.
You know who I thought was cool? Talk about foreign services, and you know, guys might not agree with me on this, but at Camp Fallujah, when we were in Iraq, they had these Ugandan guys that were sort of like the security all over Camp Fallujah.
Yeah, they were like guard.
Yeah, they were guarding, like, going in the chow hall and all that kind of stuff.
Shit.
Dude, they were cool as hell, man.
Yep.
You know, you walk by, they get like, hey, Jumbo, you know, whatever.
Oh, yeah, dude. Every
Jumbo.
time you saw those guys, they had great big smiles on, and they were clod hopping around.
Yeah.
Yep.
But they probably, like, break your neck if, you know, looking
right.
sideways.
They'd fucking rip your heart out.
They were all big dudes.
Well, they'd stand like hard dicks wherever they needed to go because, you know, that was just, you're standing there with a weapon at parade rest. Yep. I remember
Uganda,
that.
man.
They used to post the Ugandans on the U.S. Army Bradleys with the 120s all set up. So you would have soldiers that would mingle around to whatever extent, and then they would like post the Ugandans to fire watch, and then I think like one private stayed with all the Bradleys, and everybody else went to chow. I saw that shit, started just dying. Which the Ugandans, they like posted up, they cordoned off. You know how it is. There's there's 3 Bradleys that are down there with the 120s on the back of how the gangway flops down on the back and they actually attach it, similar to our LAVs or our tracks. You would see right at the corner, right at the intersection near a stop sign, there'd be a Yukon and post up, stand in parade rest, guarding the U.S. Army shit. Yep, every once in a while that'd happen. Or what was the other area? I don't know. For lack of a better way to put it, it's like Range Road, but it heads down one set of the base, and there's ranges to the left, or you can go to the other set of the base, and that's where the detention and all of the other stuff is along the backside. But that's where the Ugandans also would go. That was where they, like, posted up. They would go over there and they would drill in their black uniforms. Remember that shit? They would drill in black uniforms, stomping around, kicking up all this us. Just fucking covered. Oh, good times.
In my opinion, all of that was posturing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they want to make us know that they were disciplined and well ordered. And in that regard, I was actually impressed with their abilities, even though they're in the dirt and fucking around. But
yeah.
Well, I felt bad for them though that they were just kicking out so much shit.
I don't know how they'd be as like a fighting unit, but as individuals, you know, standing guard on something, they're pretty intimidating, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking weird.
When we drove around that pickup, remember that white pickup we used to bounce around Camp Ramadi in?
You mean the one that was confiscated from someone out on town and was at that little post, and I mean somebody else drove it back in a convoy, like unarmored?
Yes. I took the red one. Remember?
Oh, yeah?
I had the red one. Yeah, you and I were the 2 VCs that drove. You took the white one. I took the red one. That was weird as fuck.
Like, fuck it, you know?
Yeah, you're in full
I'm driving
kit.
little Chevy Love or whatever the fuck it was. No, that was Toyota or something.
Yours was,
you know what? Yeah. That little thing was a Haas. I'll tell you that much. It kept us going through the entire deployment, and we would just park it, and it didn't have a key anymore, so we had some sort of jerry-rigged turn-on system and
the flathead screwdriver. We had the flathead screwdriver. Remember? That thing.
Nobody knew how to start it. That's why it wasn't like anyone didn't try. It was just no one could start it.
Yep. Oh man.
Good times. You remember when our section leaders decided to try to put a checkout sheet on it, and essentially everyone's like, yeah, no, we don't give a fuck. It's a confiscated vehicle. We're just taking the shit.
Yeah. They were trying to maintain order on the confiscated fix, and that did not happen. The best thing about it was piling just a shit ton of jars in the back of it, and the only rule was, I think your asses had to be on the inside of the bed
wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the only rule. So you could fit, like 12 dudes in the bed of a pickup and then cram as many other. Yeah, and then you had to have seatbelts for everybody inside. That was the other rule. Yep, flathead screwdriver.
The funny thing was, it wasn't exactly like it was a long, maybe 600 meters from the little container units that we got put in.
Well, over to, I remember we used to drive it over to the motor pool. That was the biggest thing. That's what I loved about it, because that was the fucking hike. It was over towards the main gate.
You know what's funny is we got laundry done consistently on Hurricane Point, and then once we moved over to Camp Ramadi, where the laundry was, it never got done, not once.
Yeah. Oh, that was. I remember
it was
that.
Fucking weird.
That sucks.
Yeah, that was the one nice thing.
Then.
What's that?
You gotta have some clean skivvies every now and then.
Yeah.
Wear them in the shower. Fuck it.
Blue Diamond had a laundry facility on it that was ran by local nationals. Because it was an Army base, and then it had, there was a 2-star there or something. It was one of those things where it was like, it rated it, so we figured out a way through the log train to get our laundry done. That was cool. We were lucky, man. We were really lucky that we got our shit done. In Afghanistan, we did not have a laundry service. Let me tell you what. scrubbing your shit. Just sitting there with an old washboard, like scrubbing your shit. You know? Getting back to basics. And the thing is, too, is it's not like you're doing laundry here in the States. You're walking through a fucking desert during the 100 days of wind. Doing your laundry means that you're washing sand and filth out of your camis. You're doing it in a basin with, like, good times. Yep. Made me miss Hurricane Point a little bit. But not really. But kind of. Sorry, bear with me. My nose is just stuffed up.
Mine's getting there too, man. I don't get it.
Ladies and gentlemen, listeners out there, our buddy Mike Penny has been battling this thing for 3 weeks, but he claims, as he did the first, second, and
We're good.
now third week, that it's just about good. So
We're good.
if he is dying, then we'll have
Send
an
us-
RIP episode soon.
Yeah. Send us some
Mike,
good
you
meds.
got it. Can you do your own eulogy real quick?
Yeah, man, that's no worries. I've already done that. I've already done that. Kidding me?
Well, we all did it in our fucking wills.
Exactly. I did that when I was 19. What do you think I am, pussy? Sure. Let's do this.
I was a bus driver in Iraq.
You were a bus driver in Iraq.
I was. So you guys know Devaney, right?
Yes.
Sergeant Major Devaney?
Yes.
Yes. So his unit lent me a bus because we were at Al Assad, and Third Recon was the CP was over in the main side area of Al Assad. Well, we were at the Fallujah first, but after the first couple months, they shut down Camp Fallujah, and we moved to Al Assad. Our CP was there in the main side area. But being a parachute rigger and being as how we were doing jump ops almost the entire time we were there, we had to find a place to set up a paraloft. And that happened to be, for the most part, we had like 5 different paralofts that we set up during the course of that deployment, but they were all mainly on the far side of the airfield, like way over on the other end of Al Assad. So in order to get back and forth to work every day and frickin' bring my riggers with me and, get guys back and forth, to do jump briefs and all that crap, we found a bus, and it just happened to be, I didn't even realize at the time that it belonged to Devaney's unit. But when we ran into him, at the book signing at Lejeune, he was like, "Yeah, I remember we gave you guys that bus. You used to drive that bus around." I was like, "Dude, I freaking," because I knew Devaney back when I was like a corporal and he was a sergeant, as snipers. But I had no idea that he was even there at the same time and that it was his unit's bus. Anyway, I guess he never said hello or whatever. But so I drove Devaney's bus around for most of that deployment. I got pictures of me sitting in the driver's seat, like opening the door like a freaking school bus driver, like, "Hey, you guys need a ride? Come on."
You guys like candy?
We used to extort army guys. Like if there were soldiers or airmen running around, we would extort them. "Hey, where are you going?" "Over here." $5. Okay. That was awesome.
Hell yeah.
Of course, Marines ride free.
And then you put them into a speed scenario. You're like, "There's a fucking bomb on this bitch somewhere. I got to get it up to 50 miles an hour and we're maintaining it, driving around Al Assad."
Right.
Yeah,
No?
no.
This ain't speed, bitch.
I went a
I didn't
little
like that.
overboard on that one. I apologize. That was a little off track.
That was a dumb movie. I didn't
You
even.
and
You
Keanu
like that?
Reeves are fucking
That
rolling
was the
around.
most realistic movie on the planet.
Ever.
Yeah.
OMG, LOL.
Dennis Hopper was amazing. Apocalypse Now, it changed me. He was an Easy Rider too, wasn't he?
Yeah, man.
Yes.
That's when he was amazing. Yeah.
Isn't he a jar?
Who,
Hopper?
Hopper? I don't think
No.
so.
Yeah.
We're going to have to look that up. I don't believe so.
You know what? He might be.
I know Hackman was. Keitel.
Hackman. That's who I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Hopper, Hackman. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, now we know who would win in a fight.
There it is. Well, Dennis Hopper's dead. Gene Hackman's alive. But, I mean,
Choo
semantics.
choo, motherfucker. Choo choo.
Right.
Do you guys remember that fucking Dennis Hopper commercial back in the day?
No.
When it was a Nike commercial, I think, where he was a ref, like a homeless guy dressed in like a referee outfit, right?
What?
And it was about, no, I'm telling you, dude, look that shit up. Look that shit up on the
shit.
freaking internet. And this
Dennis
guy,
Hopper, you say?
Yes, Dennis Hopper. He would do this commercial for like Nike, and it was about Sterling Sharp. And he was talking about how he would run like a freight train, man. He'll run over you like a freight train. And then he'd grab the camera on either side and goes, choo choo, choo choo. I'm telling you, dude, it's one of the best commercials ever. You got
Oh God.
Oh my
That's
God,
good.
this shit was fucking hysterical.
I don't know about all that, but I do know that Dennis Hopper was born on May 17th, 1936 in Dodge City, Kansas.
Right on.
And his dad was in the OSS.
Right.
Oh, cool. With Julia Childs. Right on.
Probably not with Julia Child, but
They didn't start together? They didn't jump in? No?
no, this was
That'd be
after
cool.
World War II. Yeah, she was during the war. As we're speaking, I'm looking at a picture of Dennis Hopper in Easy Rider.
Yeah, is he a vet at all? Is he a vet?
He's got a righteous freaking
I
mustache.
don't think he
Seems
is,
like
man.
No, he's not. He's not a veteran at
Chris
all.
Christopherson is, let's see, Willie Nelson,
Yeah, Willie Nelson was in the Air Force.
Johnny Cash.
All right, so we got to get this this dude from what's his name? The guy from Star Wars.
Oh, Adam Driver.
Adam Driver. We got to get this guy on.
Yep. Let's talk a
Infantry
little New Year's here, you know.
Yeah,
'cause
that's what
we're
I
gonna be
mean.
We're going to be doing a few different things. I mean, we got to be pushing for this TV show. Dun, da, da, da.
Dun, 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 dun.
Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit.
We don't even have a name for it, but you know what? Maybe we should poll our audience to see if they have ideas.
The working title for me, in my opinion, because it's Cigars and Sea Stories while we're out on the road and we're just podcasting and stuff, you know. But
Yeah.
the TV show is going to be highlighting these veterans that are out there at the different bunker locations. So I'm like, hey, bunker bus tour. You know, and I just figure Cigars and Sea Stories, we're going to go out. That'll be the bunker bus tour. And then when we go out.
That's not a name for a TV show.
Right.
No. Yeah.
Right.
You gotta name
No,
it
you're
something
right.
else.
You're right.
Bunker
you know
bus
what?
tour.
And to be honest with you, I want to do this on network TV, folks. Hello, listeners. I want to do this on network TV. I want to highlight veterans on network TV, and I don't mean to be that guy, but you guys come up with the name. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go out there and I'm going to continue to hit our mission as far as podcasting is concerned. But
I'm going to go ahead and put us all on the hook right now for, whoever comes up with a really freaking cool name. And if we end up using that name, we're going to give you something really badass. I don't know what it is yet, but we'll come up with something.
And we'll probably have you on the TV show. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Definitely a guest appearance on the TV show for sure. But
Yeah,
something cool too, though. Something else that's cool besides that.
Is there any nudity?
Yeah, I knew somebody was going to go sexual in a heartbeat, but
no, I don't think so.
wasn't sure who it was going to be. But
all I heard was TV show.
So we're basically putting out there that we want somebody from the audience to like give us a really cool name or for the TV show, and if someone that comes up with the name that we use, that we should just give them. Probably get them on the TV show, number one. Number two, just give them something really cool, but we don't know what that is yet.
Cigars and Sea Stories is proud to support and sling Counter-Strike coffee. Counter-Strike coffee, I want you to know, is meant to be drink black. Now, I myself love coffee. I'm a big coffee drinker. I went away from black coffee for a little while. Needed the cream and sugar when I was rocking it with the generic blend. Counter-Strike coffee brought me back into the fold in a huge, huge way. They do a great dark roast. I'm a big fan of napalm. That's my fave. Smooth operator is good, though. It can go with cakes and pies, and I got a bit of a sweet tooth. I know a couple of us do, you know. And then also Firewatch. I mean, Firewatch, that's going to be the kick in the ass that you need in order to get your day going the right way. You know what I'm saying? If you haven't already done so, check out counterstrikecoffee.com. Use promo code CIGARSandSea. You will get 10% off. Again, that's counterstrikecoffee.com. Use promo code CIGARSandSea to get yourself 10% off. Well, and we're really putting it to the listeners also because, like, we're here to do the podcast and to bounce around and record with all of these fantastic individuals while we're out on the road. You know, the listeners want to watch the TV show, I would assume, and see all the other antics in between as well as, the veterans that we're looking to highlight. But right now, the vision and scope of the show is you're going to get a minimum of 2 veterans that we're going to focus on per episode, and then their enablers and collaborators that they work with. So tentative goal, I want to highlight 10 veterans per episode. I'm willing to slap that down on the table. I want to highlight the positive impact that we're creating as a subculture in America. I want to be able to highlight the different veteran-led businesses across America, not just at the bunker and what have you. We're using this as anchor points in between, like we've discussed internally. But, to our listeners that are out there, what is the type of TV show that you'd like to see? Christ, do you even want to see a TV show? I really hope that you do.
Basically,
really
unfortunately,
asked.
it's gonna happen regardless.
We never asked.
Yeah, it's gonna happen whether you like it or not. Damn it!
Hey, we didn't ask to start the podcast. We're not gonna ask to start that. Thing is, we are, and listeners, it is imperative, and this is outside of the joking realm. We're at 6% of veterans going into entrepreneurship right now. That is sad compared to the 49% post World War II. Gents, they are known as the greatest generation. I would like to put that name to the test. Don't get me wrong, I love those guys, but we've got to bootstrap this nation back to not being afraid anymore. And this is what the TV show is all about. The entire purpose is to motivate you, the listener, you, the veteran out there, sitting there worried about what tomorrow is going to be, worried about purpose, worried about I got out of the military and I hate working with civilians. I hate this or that. I'm not content. Hey, find that purpose, team up with other veterans, and join the 6%. Get it to 7, get it to 10, get it to 50. Our goal is 51 because I think we can do better. And it's not a competition thing. It's a necessity thing. It's a thing we have to do now for our nation, not because we want to, because we now have to.
I mean, that's such a good point. I mean, figure this, ladies and gentlemen out there. 51% of all veterans, all right, of all returning veterans from post 9/11 veterans, basically, is what we're talking about, right? Is that correct, gentlemen?
Yeah.
So 51% of those start
That's
a
goal.
business. Think of staggering. Just think of the impact that would make on our country's economy, let alone the veteran community. Okay, because the whole point is to get our communities and our country back to where they were. All right, because if you think that we're headed in a good direction, then you need to, I don't know, stop smoking or injecting whatever fucking drugs you're on. Because at the end of the day, if we're able to do this, 51% of veterans becoming entrepreneurs, that shit is the type of numbers that will change the world. And that's serious. That's
So here's why this matters. Here's why this matters. We're talking about numbers. 49% of World War II veterans coming home became entrepreneurs, started businesses of some kind or another. Whether it be a small mom and pop shop or whether it be, forming what would become a Fortune 500 company.
Which
it doesn't
frankly,
matter.
I thought were bullshit. I thought those numbers were bullshit because I was like,
no, it's true.
No, it's too much. But once you look into it, it's true. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's a big number. And so here's the thing, here's why it matters. Because, look back in our history, through whatever prism you'd like to look back through American history, there's nobody that's going to stand out in our history that was just an employee. Nobody. There's nobody that I can think of that really did anything that mattered in the big picture, in the grand scheme of things, that had an impact far beyond their own close circle of family and friends, that was just an employee. Everybody that had an impact did something that was beyond just working a job. Now, granted, and we're not trying to say that, hey, if you're holding down a steady job or maybe 2 or 3 steady jobs and supporting your family, and coming home each night and raising your kids right and treating your wife right and living a good life, that's not important. It absolutely is, but as a percentage, going from 49% after the World War II to now 6%, why are our numbers so low in the entrepreneurial space? My take on it is that it's because America has not had any skin in the game in the wars that we've been fighting since World War II, right? It's the last time that we declared war. It's the last time that the whole country was behind the war in every way you can imagine. I mean, we had war bonds. People had victory gardens. Every family had somebody that went off to the war. Everybody.
Or was working in a plant, or even the kids were working just
everybody.
To make the shit work.
Exactly. Every single body had skin in the game, literally. People were on rations, the government rations stuff. So everybody that was living back here in the States, whether they knew anybody that deployed or not, they still all went through some kind of suffering. The whole war experience was shared suffering for America. That hasn't happened since World War II. Every single one of these conflicts, wars, whatever you want to call them, that we've gotten ourselves into, that our politicians have gotten ourselves into, and then sent us off to fight and bleed, the rest of the country has not been engaged. They have had no skin in the game. And because of that, when we, the veterans, come home from these conflicts, from these wars, we don't feel like, and society isn't ready to receive us as the people who are going to carry our country forward, because there's nothing to carry it forward from. In the minds of everyone else in the country, it's just business as usual. It's just another day. The war was going yesterday. It's not going today. Big deal, right? No, well, it is a big freaking deal. We had a shared experience. We all had a common experience by going off and serving our country. And now that we've gained that experience, whatever level of experience that was, you have a gift. And, there's a lot of guys out there, a lot of guys and gals that might look at that and say, well, I don't know if it's so much of a gift, going to combat, having to shoot people in the face, seeing buddies die, watching your friends and comrades, get blown up and hurt. That's not so much of a gift, you think. But in the grand scheme of things, it's the experience, it's the wisdom, it's the life experience that you gain from having shared that with your brothers. And being able to take that experience home and apply it into a whole bunch of different ways, that is a gift. And the American public that has not served will never understand how that is a gift. They'll never understand how what you experienced and what you learned and what you did can possibly relate to anything in civil society. But we know that those things imminently prepared you to be entrepreneurs, to be innovators, to be leaders, to do the hard things, to make the hard choices, to go out and do things that everybody else thinks are too difficult, and to be innovative and come up with things that no one else has thought of. It's those experiences that we had as a community of veterans that prepare us to step out as entrepreneurs and innovators and do the stuff that America needs us to do to put us back on top again, because we're not on top.
See, and I think it's important also to highlight why the bunker has been chosen as a fixture to highlight within this specifically. And that is because we have talked about coming out of the service and collaborating and utilizing a lot of the tools and the different training and education advantages that are out there for us. The bunker is an accelerator that allows businesses that are past the stage of proof of concept, say a year, 2 year, 3 year down the chain, to be able to market and grow and scale and be great on the largest of scales as far as building enterprises ran by veterans. And it's important to highlight how huge that is, at least in my opinion, to be able to showcase that veterans can achieve that greatness, because now we have a springboard and who has created, and you want to know something? I wouldn't even call it a springboard. It's more like a fucking launch pad. But I love the fact that fellow veterans are the ones who created the bunker. Veteran-focused business accelerator for veteran-led businesses to go off and be great.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all.
And my
Todd
2
Connor,
cents.
the CEO of Bunker, he's a visionary. You know, the thing that he's put together, this community of veteran entrepreneurs, and Dean Bunchu over at the RDU Bunker. We've had him on the show before. These guys are all about trying to lift up their fellow veterans, and it's not about a handout. It's about taking guys that already are doing big things, that already have big ideas and are already implementing them, and helping them fine tune what they're doing to be able to scale it. Yeah, empowering them to increase the scale of what they're doing so that it's so much more impactful than what they might have been able to do on their own. It's that whole teamwork thing that we all came up with in the military.
Well,
we could do more together than we ever could do alone.
Team.
Yeah, team.
The fucking acronym.
But-
team. Together,
Everyone
accomplishes,
accomplishes.
achieves, or accomplishes more. At the end of the day, that's another thing that I've noticed with veteran are the people that are already operating within the veteranpreneur space. Okay, is that one of the things that needs to happen? And I beat this shit to death all the time. We're as Mike would put it, we're all adjacent units. Even if you're direct competition with someone, trust me, there's enough money out there for everybody. So help your freaking fellow veterans pick up their shit and get something going. I mean, we do a lot of keeping each other down when we need to be pulling each other up. And I'm really getting sick of that shit. And anyone that wants to confront me on it, feel free. Because that shit is unacceptable. Period. As veterans, we need to have each other's backs all the time, whether it's in business or not. Because guess what? There's enough out there for everybody. Stop being a fucking asshole. Okay? Let's pick this shit up and let's do this shit. The dude that's fallen out of the fucking run doesn't mean that he's a fucking idiot or an asshole or a fucking loser. Sometimes people need a little help here and there, folks. Don't be an asshole to your fellow veterans. Enough. The shit is fucking ridiculous. Guys like Boone Cutler get it. They get out there and they speak against this shit all the time. Stop sabotaging other veterans with their shit. It's bullshit. If anybody's got our back, it's each other. I'm so sick of this shit. I get fucking angry about it. If you want to confront me about it, feel free. My fucking number, my name, my freaking email is all over the fucking internet. Be a man and fucking bring it. All right? This new year, 2016, should and could be the year of the fucking veteran entrepreneur. Bringing this shit back, bringing it, running with it, and taking this shit back. Because if anybody can do it, it's us. Stop being a fucking douchebag to your fellow veterans and bring the fucking pain, okay? So I love you. Happy New Year. And I'll let the rest of the guys freaking finish out the shit.
And hey, just real quick, all right? Safety brief. If you drink, don't drive. If you drive, don't drink. Rap before you tap it. Don't fuck fat chicks. This, all right? You know what I'm saying?
Happy
To add to what Bennett said, I couldn't have said it any better. He is a little angry, obviously, and rightly so, because we do this to ourselves all the freaking time. All four of us, Mike, Sebastian, Bennett, me, we look around out there in the veteran space. There's so many freaking guys that are like keyboard warriors, and all they want to do is tear somebody down. They don't have a solution for anything. They don't have any good suggestions to make anything better, but all they want to do is rip other veterans down. It's like, really? Why don't you just shut the hell up? But I have a couple specific things to say about it. One, as veterans, because of the disconnect between veterans and the rest of society, because we've been fighting their wars ever since World War II without any real buy-in from them, nobody's going to help you but you. You're responsible for your own success or failure as a veteran.
Right.
And nobody's going to have your back like another veteran. There are lots of programs out there. There's lots of good civilians, lots of good, well-meaning civilians that help run programs that help us and, give us a leg up and different things like that. But nobody truly is going to have your back like a veteran, right? And a fact that, we've mentioned this many times on the show, and I'm going to throw it out there again just to add perspective. Since 9/11, the percentage of American adults who have served in uniform is less than 0.5%. It's only about 0.45% of the American population has served in uniform since 9/11. What that means, turn that number around, and that means that 99.55% of Americans have never served in uniform since 9/11. That's a freaking huge number. That's a huge disconnect. And that's why I get the whole stolen valor thing. It really tears me up inside when I see somebody pretending to be something that he's not. But boy, I'll tell you what, there's some guys that's all they live for is just to find somebody that is, wearing a ribbon wrong or freaking, wearing a piece of a uniform, out of regs or something so they can rip him to shreds and just hope to God that he's really a stolen valor dude so that they can shout it from the rooftops. Oh, I caught this guy, Well, frick, dude, if that's your goal in life, you need a new life. I mean, really, get a fucking life, because that is not a goal in life. That's not an accomplishment. It's like that poor old guy that got accosted in the airport by a couple of remember that?
Lord,
and he wasn't,
yes.
and he did rate his 2 Purple Hearts, and he fought in Vietnam. And these guys called him out because he was wearing his stuff on his suit jacket, and on a hat or something. And, they didn't know any better, and they had no freaking respect for an older generation, and they showed their asses, and they disrespected all of us when they did that, and that's crap. So
not only that, but that dynamic is, in my opinion, if imitation's the highest form of flattery. What is that saying?
Yeah, that's it.
No, you said it.
Something along those lines. So I get it that there's a certain amount of, hey, I'm a veteran, you're not, don't try to be me. At the same time, conduct and professionalism is what will set us actually apart. Anybody can go to a Navy surplus store and buy any of that shit. So who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck if they're wearing it? Good. If Nelly or some fucking rapper wants to wear a Marine Corps dress blue jacket or some guy.
Oh, yeah. That's
cool. Okay.
I remember that.
That was 50 Cent.
At the end of the day, in the colloquial Bennett way of saying things, who gives a fuck? Granted, there is that I did it, you didn't, but what does it really take away from you? Nothing.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a certain amount of America's money that's squandered because of discounts and stuff that these guys are getting, and there's a certain population of civilians that get a bad taste in their mouth for military personnel because someone who wasn't military was impersonating. Yes, that happens. Great. It's not big enough to fuck around with in the capacity we are.
But you know what's even worse? And you know what gives civilians an even worse taste in their mouth about veterans? Is when veterans go out there and show their ass like those guys did to that old Vietnam.
Yeah, exactly.
And here's the thing, is people can do bad things, and that bad thing may be some civilian or even a military guy trying to be something more as a veteran than what he is. Maybe he actually was a veteran, but he's wearing something he didn't rate, or he's saying something about his accomplishments or what he did that wasn't necessarily true. Whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter. Pick your example. But what you can control and what really matters is your reaction to it. And this applies in everything in life. This is what I teach my kids. You can't control what other people are going to say to you or do or how they're going to act around you, but you can control your reaction to it. If they're not acting like, because I got 2 daughters, if they're not acting like respectable young ladies, you can still act like respectable young ladies. And getting in a pissing contest and screeching about it and, standing up on a freaking soapbox and yelling, to everybody that could, be around to hear you, oh, they're all this and they're all that, da, da, da. Well, is that very ladylike? No, it's not. It's not very gentlemanly either. So for us veterans, us male combat veterans, those some of the worst freaking screamers are fellow combat veterans that, they get the impression that somebody's trying to be something that they're not. And you know what? It is wrong. It's not right for them to pretend they're something that they're not. But when you sit there and screech about it and scream about it and, you know, make a public spectacle on social media, you know, hound them and just, I mean, that, whatever happened to just being a gentleman? I mean, if you want to confront them, there are ways to do it that don't involve all this public freaking, you know, smearing of people's names and, you know, shouting from the rooftops that embarrasses all of us. There are ways to do it that don't involve that. You know, a gentleman in the past would handle things that way. You know, you would handle things quietly, off to the side. You know, even if the guy was really freaking jacked up and really wrong, you know, you could go up to him quietly, but you don't have to do it loudly in front of everybody at the bar so that everybody hears you say it to make yourself look all puffed up and bigger, you know, or something like that. That shows that you got an inferiority complex. So I hate that shit. But, you know, to get back to Bennett's original point, you know, we are a team as long as we are willing to continue to act like one. We all know what it's like to be on the greatest team on the planet, the United States military, whether it be Marines, Army, Navy, Air Force, whatever. You know, we're all part of that same team. And as veterans, we need to stick together. As veterans, we need to have each other's back. As veterans, we need to start looking with an eye to the future of our country. And we need to start looking at what we can do, not only to help ourselves, but to lift one another up and to lift our country out of this funk that we're in right now. Because if you haven't noticed, we're in a funk.
Yeah.
And I don't care where you are politically. I don't care if you're a liberal, a conservative, somewhere in the middle, somewhere off on either end somewhere. I think pretty much everybody agrees that we're in a funk. And you can blame it on whoever you want to blame it on, but that's not productive. What's productive is looking at where do we go from here, you know? And so having that immature attitude of pointing fingers and laying blame and screeching from the rooftop about how jacked up somebody else is, that's not going to solve anything, whether it's stolen valor or whether it's turning our country around. If you want to engage with the public and reduce the size of the gap between your average American and your average American veteran, then we, as the leaders, because we are, whether the American public wants to recognize it or not, we are the leaders in our society. We have to be the leaders and take the role upon ourselves of being the adult in the room and reaching across the aisle to try to close the gap, because they're not gonna. They don't care enough, right? But we do. It's our freaking country. We fought for it. We bled for it. So we care enough. We have to be the grown-up in the room and show that the gap can be closed and that it's worth it to try for our country. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, in the new year, take a look out for some of the operation order planning type stuff, because a lot of the things that we've talked about before, as far as the operational mindset, the business planning off of military planning processes and the like, that is going to be coming out in the new year. We've got templates that'll be coming up, videos that'll be coming up. We'll be talking more about rocking up, getting outside the wire, finding adjacent units that are out there. How do you actually make link up in between other veteran-led businesses? And these are just things that we learned. But the idea, the mentality is we are looking for other veterans to get on this front line with us. That's why we're talking this way. We're looking to go shoulder to shoulder in this new economy and be able to actually make a difference. The only way to do it is through collaboration. So, you know, if you have an idea, even if it's a podcast exactly like ours or something like that, come on, man, like bring it to the fight. So that way we can allow our listeners to have a huge library of different listening material to be able to go through and hear all of these wonderful stories amongst veterans. We can't possibly, even though we're only 0.5% of the U.S. population, we are not going to be able to share sea stories with all of the veterans that are out there. So if somebody went out there and made the exact same podcast, we would still have a huge pool of veterans to be able to talk to. That's the reality of things. You know, so if somebody is going to join the phalanx and go into the battle with us, you're more than welcome. Matter of fact, call us, you know, hit us up, go to our contact page, contact@cigarsandseastories.com, contact@cigarsandseastories.com, shoot us an email, go to our contact page, link up with us. We want to do business. We want to hear what your business idea is, maybe work together on the plan to some extent. Tell your friends, share the podcast, get it out there. Yeah, we're keen on entrepreneurship. You can also be a 1099 contractor. Hello. Be considered an entrepreneur. You're doing it on your own, working from home. So, anyway, subscribe to us, listen to us, iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM. Does anybody have any other last words?
I just think it's going to be a fantastic new year, and I'm optimistic more than I ever have been that as veterans we're going to make some great changes this year, and probably make some money doing it too, which is going to be cool.
Yeah, this is a for-profit business. In case anybody wasn't tracking out there.
It's getting there.
We're just looking to grow at this point. We haven't been out there long enough. Come on, click share. Yeah, this new year is going to be awesome. The TV show, the listeners, we're looking for these guys in order to leverage us. Hey man, if you want to see us on network television, help us, leverage the show. Help us grow. This is going to be cool. Jocelyn, what do you got, man? What's going to be cool in the new year?
All of the above. My biggest excitement is just to see how many better, because I'm almost daily, and Mike can attest to this more than anybody, almost daily I get a call, or Tim gets a call, or Bennett gets a call, or Mike gets a call from a fellow veteran that is going, you know what, I'm sick of regular life. Like, how do I get out of this funk? How do I get out of this feeling or whatever it is? And you know what, almost unanimously, they get motivated when you start mentioning entrepreneurship, because it is freedom. It is your own endeavor. No one has your leash but you.
That's it.
So everybody that was so excited to get out of the Corps, and everybody who was so excited to get out of the military, and then they're like, yeah, freedom, just kidding, I went into this or this job, and now they want to pay me as little as humanly possible to do as much as humanly possible. Fuck all that. I'm going to do it myself, because it'll matter to me, and thus is born the great veteran 51% that will take back this nation. Amen.
Love it.
Amen.
Hit subscribe, rate, review. Please share. Please share. Share with everyone.
And have a great freaking
Share
new
with
year.
everybody. 10, 9, 8, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year.